Somewhere over the Atlantic, a passenger vanished mid-flight. No one saw him leave, and no one could explain how his seat was empty when the plane landed. This isn't a ghost story, at least, not the kind you think. This is the true mystery of Flight 317 and the man who disappeared into thin air. Becky Ground, it was March 14, 2017. Flight 317, a red eye from New York to London, was cruising at 36,000 feet. Inside the cabin, the lights were dimmed, passengers were sleeping, and the steady hum of the engines filled the air. In seat 14A, right by the window, sat a man in his early 50s, neatly dressed in a gray wool coat with silver hair combed back. He looked like any other tired business traveler. The flight attendant remembered him ordering a coffee before takeoff and politely thanking her. He had no checked luggage, just a small leather briefcase. Nothing about him stood out until halfway across the ocean when someone noticed his seat was empty. It was 2:47 a.m. cabin time when passenger Emily Carter got up to stretch her legs. She was in the row behind 4TA. As she walked past, she glanced at the seat, empty. That wouldn't have been strange, except his seatbelt was still buckled. She figured he was in the restroom, so she returned to her seat. 20 minutes later, she got up again, still empty. The coffee cup on his tray was untouched, steam long gone. Emily flagged down a flight attendant. "Excuse me, I think the man in front of me is missing." The attendant smiled politely. "I'm sure he's just in the lavatory." She checked. Both restrooms in the cabin were empty. The crew began searching. They quietly looked around the cabin, the galleys, even the crew rest areas. Nothing. The captain was informed, and the cockpit door stayed locked. The man had not entered. Here's where it gets strange. His boarding pass showed he had scanned in. Multiple passengers saw him during boarding. Even the security footage from JFK Airport confirmed his presence in the departure lounge. Yet, at 36,000 feet, somewhere over the icy Atlantic, he was simply gone. The search grew tense. Passengers whispered. Some thought it was a medical emergency and he'd been moved. Others joked nervously about a ghost passenger. Emily noticed something chilling. His leather briefcase was gone too. She remembered seeing it under the seat earlier. Now, nothing. The flight attendant asked the man in seat 14B, an older gentleman dozing through the flight, if he'd seen his seatmate leave. The man frowned. "Seatmate, I thought the seat was empty the whole time." The captain made an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are conducting a head count for safety purposes. Please remain in your seats." They counted. Passenger manifest listed 212 people. Only 211 were on board. No emergency exit had been opened. No alarms had gone off. The pressure in the cabin was stable. Impossible if a door had been opened mid-flight. At 40:12 a.m., they landed in London. Security boarded immediately, questioning passengers and crew. The seat where the man had been sitting was swabbed for fingerprints. None were found. Not even on the coffee cup. The UK Border Force checked immigration records. The missing man had never entered the country. The U.S. authorities checked outbound records. His name wasn't linked to any other flight that night. Here's the part that keeps investigators awake at night. When they reviewed the in-flight CCTV, the cameras covering the aisles, they saw the man take his seat before takeoff. He fastened his seatbelt. He stared out the window for hours. Then, at exactly 2:44 a.m., the footage flickered for less than a second. When the image returned, his seat was empty. No movement. No one passing by, just gone. The timestamp in the footage jumped forward by 3 minutes, as if those moments had been erased. The airline quietly labeled it a passenger misidentification error in public reports. But several crew members later admitted, off the record, that they never forgot Flight 317 or the man who boarded but never arrived. And to this day, the official record still lists one passenger unaccounted for. So the next time you're on a night flight and the cabin lights dim, glance at the empty seat beside you and ask yourself, was it always empty? If you enjoyed this mystery, stick around. There's another case that's even stranger.